Welcome to Bear Football here on the Barroom Network. John Buffone alongside Danny Shimon and Coach T will be joining us momentarily. The Bears fall 24-17 to the New Orleans Saints in a very frustrating game. Everything kind of fell apart there in the fourth quarter. 5 total turnovers, 4 of which can be attributed to Tyson Bagent. Gentlemen, the Bears had every opportunity to go and win this ball game, and the miscues, specifically from the quarterback, but also there was plenty of a fumble, penalties, you name it. When you're a sub-average team, you can't afford to have that many miscues. So let's go around the horn and go with our initial reactions. Danny, we'll start with you.
Yeah, John, you just nailed it right there. That was going to be my opening comment. 5 turnovers to none. 5 for the Bears, none for the Saints. 10 points off turnovers. You lost by 7 points. That's the margin right there. So if you're a team that doesn't have the talent that can overcome those turnovers, that those mistakes, it's hard for you. You got to play almost mistake-free football. Now, I do have to say the defense did step up. Now, whether it was the defense or just the Saints doing some weird-ass play calling, I'm not sure what's going on there with their coaching staff and their play caller and Pete Carmichael. But really, the Bears defense let them stay in there in terms. And then just but unfortunately at the end it was just too many turnovers. Obviously Tyson with the interceptions, and then the fumble. Obviously DJ Moore fumble earlier in the game as well. So yeah, you just cannot overcome those turnovers when you lack the talent on offense and at some point in defense as well.
Coach, what was so different in the second half, specifically the fourth quarter, as opposed to what we saw in the first half?
Halftime adjustment with screens. I mean, what are we doing? Deontay Foreman, 20 carries on 83 yards, averaging 4.2 yards per carry. Our running backs continue to average over 4 yards per carry. But somehow, for some reason, we want to line up in 11 personnel and try to throw the ball with an undrafted free agent rookie quarterback and beat teams with his arms. It's just not going to happen. I don't like the halftime adjustments. We said it at halftime. You got to come out and run the ball, establish the dominance in the run with the run game versus in a tight game on the road. We just didn't do that. I don't like it.
Danny, the interceptions from Tyson Bagent just looked like he was behind some of the receivers whenever he was letting it go. It seemed like there was maybe a crease there to throw it into, but he just didn't put it where it needed to be put. But you would know better than I. As we see his stats there, 17 of 26, 214 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 picks, 8 rushing attempts for 70 yards. Also lost a fumble, and he was sacked one time. But what did you see on some of those interceptions?
Yeah, and then it's hard. Everyone's going to depend on Tyson. And I understand that he had the 4 2 was responsible for the turnovers, but this is a rookie quarterback put in a hostile environment, and in my opinion, again failed by his coaching staff. In the first half we saw those boot actions, the RPOs, his ability to use his legs to get some yards. That was pretty much gone that second half. And like Coach said, Coach and I have been on here, I think, week in and week out, yelling for, to commit to the run. You are a running football team, Luke Getsy. But for some reason, that second to last drive, they come on, they're backed up on their 2-yard line. And this kid's just throwing 3 interceptions. And he comes out in shotgun, right? In shotgun, the kid line up in shotgun, empty set, no one next to him there. And, he moves the ball a little bit, but then that's how we get the strip sack. But still, you're in shotgun, run the ball. Get the guy off the line of scrimmage, off the goal line. Give him some space to room. This guy he has an offense. He has an offense, and he will not divert from it. He does not put his players in his best position to succeed. He does not play to the players' best strengths. He has his offense. He has his plays, and you guys are going to run my plays. Simple as that. He has no idea, no concept in terms of how to get these players to succeed and take their strengths and make them successful in the games. First half, we saw the rollouts, the boot action, all that stuff we saw with Justin in previous games. That to me was gone. If you guys saw that in the second half, let me know. I might have missed it because that was all gone. It was a lot of 11 personnel, like Coach was saying. Your identity in this team, I've said it week in and week out. You are a damn running football team. You want to win, Luke Getsy, or do you want to try to improve your resume, show the other NFL teams that I can coach offense? Because you're not trying to win here. You're just trying to improve yourself and show other teams that, hey, I'm creative play caller. But when you're not, you're a receivers coach that was given a title of offensive coordinator, and you're failing. You failed Justin Fields in the first 8 games, and now you're failing this kid here, Tyson Bagent, in the last 3 games.
Danny, you talked about those formations, and Coach T, that's something you were harping on before the game, during the game, and I'm assuming right now. So, do you want to break down? I believe we might have some visuals to go with this, but let's talk about some of the breakdowns here.
Yeah. Let me cook right here. Shout out to I forget her name, Tannis. I'll fix that up here in a second. But these graphics came out in a totally perfect timing, right? Because this is what Danny and I've been saying, what I've been trying to say all year. When we talk about Luke Getsy, the system he calls and the style of play in which he tries to call games or tries to play football. If you can see right there, the purple represents 11 personnel, obviously 12 are aqua, green 21 personnel, and other and coral. Other would be 13 personnel, 22 personnel. If you see early on in the season, and this is why I said the play calling is trash. Justin doesn't trust what he doesn't see because it's too early to implement heavy 11 personnel early on in the season to try to throw the ball over the field. Why? Because wide receivers are not hitting their landmarks. The offensive line is not greased up or oiled up yet, and people are not going to the right spot. So we start out the season high 11 personnel versus Green Bay, Tampa, KC. And when we start showing offensive progress in Denver, you see where we do. We dip down and start playing less 11 personnel, more 12 personnel, more 21 personnel, and other 13 and 22 personnel. Ideally, you go to Washington. Washington is the ideal game in which how we play football. The Washington game plan would have won today's football game, especially in the second half. Go with more 12, 13, 22, 21 personnel. Run the ball, or you can pass out of those formations like we did in the first half with boot actions. Or and the reason why that works is because you have more tight ends in the game and more running backs in the game that help your offensive line with protection. So it's easy to find players downfield. You see the Minnesota game, we were on our way back up to the garbage 11 personnel heavy system, right? I believe he kind of curtailed his play calling because Justin got hurt early on. We come back down to heavy 12, 21, 13 personnel versus Las Vegas, and we win the game. Washington and Las Vegas is the identity of this football team. LA, we go back and wet the bed again. Now, I don't know if you have the graphics of there you go. So when we were brought Luke Getsy in, we were sold on the Kyle Shanahan style system. And here it goes by comparison, Kyle Shanahan and Mike McDaniel. And I want y'all to look at what's in purple. The personnel groupings in purple, right? Low 11 personnel, heavy up on the 12 plus personnel, right? Play action, getting that offensive line, pulling from sideline to sideline and calling the game to the maturity level of your players. This is a young football team, young quarterbacks. I don't care who's under center. Call the game to the maturity level of your football player. And you see right here, 49ers, 21 personnel. Look at how evenly balanced. If you had a trend line on the 49ers graphic there and a trend line on the Dolphins for graphic right there, you would see that they're pretty consistent across the board. This is NYP, know your personnel, and calling games to the strength of your football play. You can bring me back on screen. I'm you know what I'm saying? You listen, this is what I've been trying to emphasize the entire season. And when people say he's calling the same plays and the same system for Tyson Bagent as he is for Justin Fields, he's not. He's doing he's not calling good game plans for either quarterback. And when he does, we have success a la the first half. But when he doesn't, you're down. I mean, your entire game, 14-14. You come out of the half and you want to go multiple 11 personnel, throwing screens, throwing the ball all over the field instead of featuring your running back out of 12 plus personnel, milking the clock, taking time off the clock, and letting your defense rest. And I explained this to my dad real fast, and I'm gonna let y'all have it back last night. I said, if you have 3 consecutive 3-and-outs on offense, that's 9 plays. If the other team, your opponent, goes down on 12 play scores and scores on those same 3 series, they eat up clock and make your defense play 36 plays versus 9 plays. That's not complimentary football. You're killing your football team, Luke Getsy. You're putting stress on your defense while not moving the ball on offense. So that would, in that examples, that would be 9 plays versus 36 plays that wear and tear you put on your defense. That is not winning football. And I wanted to get to that. Appreciate y'all giving me time to explain that, man.
That was wonderful, Coach. The visuals, you breaking it down, that explains it. Like you said, if you're sold on that system of Mike McDaniels and Shanahan, it's actually not. It's actually the way that things are being called. It's not like that.
But what they do, John, is and the coach talked about it. They put their players in the best position to succeed, whatever it is for them to win that week. And for some reason, this coach thinks 21 personnel or 12 personnel is taboo. Damn it, you win football. You can still be creative in terms of the passing game with the 12 personnel or 21 personnel. You just got to be creative. You got to put your players in the best position to succeed. And this guy hasn't been doing it at all. That's why when everyone was harping on Justin, I'm telling you, this guy is not putting Justin in his best position to succeed with his skill set. The same thing with Tyson Bagent. Tyson's got a little bit different skill set than Tyson and than Justin, but he's not putting him in best position to succeed. You win. We saw the 2 wins they have against Washington and Vegas. They were much more heavier in the 12 personnel. They utilized the rushing attack. This team is a run-first offense. That's how you win offensively with this football team. And for some reason, this offensive coordinator doesn't get it. It refuses to abide by that. And this head coach is weak and cannot tell his offensive coordinator, damn it, run the freaking football. So this is why you have a 2-7 team now.
That brings up a kind of a question that a lot of people were talking about. But Danny, we saw this isn't a new thing. This has been going on through Getsy's tenure in Chicago. So why is it that we saw last year up until the Washington game, everyone was talking about how this is the worst play calling, this is a stagnant offense, and then they figured it out and Justin started running the ball a little bit more and they started scoring a lot more points, and then they revert back to not kind of crafting the game plan around the players, and then instead of just saying, hey, here's the game plan, make it work, square peg, meet round hole. Danny, why is it that we keep seeing this inconsistency? Is it basically Getsy saying this system has to work, I don't care who we got, or what? Why do we keep seeing this? I don't even want to say it's inconsistency at this point. It's just bad, subpar.
Right. So basically what I think, John, happened is this is Getsy's system, and he says, I want to make this work. I want to make this succeed. But going back to last year, I think even Justin said that they went on, they kind of turned out that mini bye week after the Washington game. They went and took a look at some of the Ravens, formation, some of their plays there, and kind of added some of those wrinkles to their offense. And they started running those plays, and lo and behold, they got some success off of it. But what happens is defensive coordinators start studying this, and now they're preparing to shut that down. And Getsy cannot adjust because that's not his system. That's not his style of forte. So he doesn't know how to counteract what the defensive coordinators are doing. And so then that offense got bogged down. So he said, this year I'm going to come in and Justin's going to be my second year in my system, and we're going to run my damn system. This is a system that I know. This is the system I was a receivers coach in. So this is going to be my system. But you know what? It's just him just taking a playbook and just kind of putting players. Same with Matt Nagy. He brought that Chiefs offensive system with him, but he didn't have the player like a Patrick Mahomes to go ahead and run those off target plays like he had. So that's why they work with the Chiefs, but they don't work here with Nagy and the Bears. So he's not an innovative offensive play caller. He's got a stagnant offense that he's brought in from somewhere else. He didn't create it. He didn't design this system. He's trying to copy and mimic it, and he doesn't know what to do in terms of counteract what the defensive coordinators are doing against him.
So moving forward, I mean, they got a game coming up real quick on Thursday night where Justin Fields might play. So, okay, first let's just start with this. If Justin's not 100%, should he be out there?
No.
Because I'm saying no
No.
for a number of reasons. It's in his best interest.
Right.
It's in the Bears' best interest. It's a lost season. They're not
Right.
competing for the division
Like a
title.
short week, right?
On a short week, they're not trying to win the division. They're not trying to win a Super Bowl. Why risk hurting this guy on a short week? But Danny, as you have said, this coaching staff might be trying to cover itself. They're trying to probably get as many wins as possible to prove that they need to come back next year. So what do you think actually does happen on Thursday?
Well, Justin's a gamer. Justin already said, they said today in the broadcast, he doesn't have any pain. It's just more about the grip strength. If Justin can play, he's going to go out there and play. And I think this coaching staff, after today's game with Tyson Bagent, I think they'll put him out there. Like you said, they're going to go out there and try and win the game. But, for me, I wish Justin would take another week, a little extended break there with the mini bye, if you want to call it again, and then and come back after the Carolina game. But, again, it's not in my opinion, it's not in Justin's best interest to hurry up and come back and try and save this coaching staff, because they put him out there, in terms of they're trying to cover their asses, and they've thrown him out there under the bus and trying to use him as a scapegoat already, in my opinion, whether it's him or the front office. They're trying to use him as a scapegoat to kind of say, hey, you know what, we need another quarterback, we need a refresh or whatnot to buy us some couple more years. So for me, if I'm Justin Fields, I'm not hurrying him back. But Justin, being the gamer that he is, being beloved, and the fact that he loves his teammates, I think he'll try and come back if he can play.
Coach, but I know we got some more graphics coming up, but would you play Justin Fields and if he's not 100%?
Absolutely not. It goes back to what we said last week when I think Aldo asked me at the end of the game, like, who would you prefer to see under center at this team? I said nobody. With this coordinator, it's like, listen, man, it is what it is. And Danny made a great point. Justin is a gamer. He's probably going to try and go and put himself at risk for his teammates, right? But I want to go back to John, what you said about the whole last year and last season and revising the game plan ahead of the New England game to fit, quote unquote, the skill sets of the players in the team. Look, it's not uncommon for an offensive coordinator to watch tape, right? Watch tape from another team and says, okay, what do I have in my playbook that looks like that? I'm going to run it to beat an opponent. That's what you're supposed to go with. But if we have the graphic, it's probably a great segue into that, right? What you do, what typically happens as an offensive play caller, an offensive coordinator, right? This is, again, another coaching 101 thing. The reason why I drew the arrow from Washington to Denver, if you're coming off of a season where you led the league in rushing, your quarterback ran all over the league, right? Your running backs averaged over 5 yards per carry, you led the league in rushing, then you start off your season, no matter how many new toys you got DJ Moore at the time, you had Chase Claypool at the time, Cole Kmet, a new stable of running backs. You start off where you left off at the end of the season and reestablish that with your offensive football team to gain some familiarity. You don't go out there and blow your wad, so to speak, and say, oh, I got all these new toys, I'm opening them all up and I'm going to play all with them at once. So I drew the arrow because it's kind of backwards how we do it. You should start with the Washington game plan. And if you want to go to a heavy 11 personnel system towards the back half of the season, towards the end of the season, you slowly ramp that up. So you invert it, and you slowly start implementing more things based off of your offensive football team's ability to handle it. If you can be on your landmarks as wide receivers, first of all, if you can block it. It all starts with the blocking. That's the first rule my mentor taught me. Don't draw anything up for me if you can't tell me how to block it. So if you're healthy up front and you can block something, then you say, okay, I'll start adding more 11 personnel. And then if your receivers can hit their landmarks, then you ramp your offense up slowly. You don't come out and open up the whole menu at the beginning of the season, a la Green Bay, and you didn't get the preseason you needed, and people aren't hitting their landmarks. And when Justin says, hey, it's a lot of confusion at week 1 of the season, absolutely. If he's holding on to the ball at week 1 of the season and you threw everything in your playbook, Adam, absolutely. You ramp your offense up, coach. You don't throw everything at him at once. And that's what I'm depicting here with the arrow. It's bass backwards, if you will, how we chose to approach this thing. Just want to make that point, man.
Yeah, and I think that we're officially, I guess, now that there's not 16 games, we're kind of past the midpoint of the season now, but we're right in the midst. So it is time to analyze what the first 8-9 games looked like. And that's what you have to do whenever your team only has 2 wins. So let's try to talk about something that might have worked a little bit well today. Danny, what did you see from the offensive line today? Because, for the most part, kept Tyson Bagent pretty clean. What did you like from the I guess the formula they used today with the offensive line?
Well, like we've been preaching all day, that right side, the power with the rookie Darnell Wright and now Tevin Jenkins there. Previously it was Nate Davis. Is that's where their power is at. That's where they can move people off the line of scrimmage. That's where the running back should hit up behind those guys. And a lot of times we saw it today, whether it was Deontay Foreman or Evans, hit behind those guys and get big positive gains. So I think that's a positive I got there too. Braxton Jones in that first half, I think, played well. I think second half we saw a little more snaps, play well. My question is, why wasn't in there for that final drive? I know he was on a snap count, but dude, this is a drive that could potentially tie this game. You would think if he's, if there's no, health setbacks, you'd go back, put him in there and have him, try and protect. But he had Larry Borman there, and that was the guy that helped, got beaten, that caused that sack fumble. So, again, the Braxton Jones coming back, the brief glimpses I saw him, I think he looked positive. There was the false start, which he has got to clean that up. But I think overall, I think he looked okay. And I love that right side, whether it's Tevin Jenkins and Darnell Wright or Nate Davis and Darnell Wright on that right side, and you put Jenkins back to left guard when he comes back. I like that power. I like the ability to run the ball. Again, you're a running team. Luke Getsy adapt to it. Accept it. Look at Kevin O'Connell, the Minnesota coach. He got Dobbs in the trade this past week. His starting quarterback got hurt. Puts him in and he helps him win the game because he put Dobbs in a position to succeed. He called plays. He put in certain situations where Dobbs is comfortable with, and helped him to go ahead and help succeed and win the game. This is without Justin Jefferson, without some of their their premier talent there as well. So that's what we're talking about. Put your players in their best position to succeed using their skill strengths.
Danny, I want to go to a question from the chat room from New England Bears fan. When Davis comes back, would you move Tevin back to the left side?
Yes, I'll move Davis back to the left, Tevin back to the left side, and then for me, Cody Whitehair right now is just a guy. Whether you want to put him at center, I don't know. The whole snapping thing was scary as heck. Not that Lucas Patrick is that much better, but Lucas Patrick is, in my opinion, better at center than he is at guard. So I would move Tevin back to left guard, insert Nate back at right guard, and I would just continue to run the football, use that identity as my football team, and build my passing game off of that.
Coach, from the offensive line standpoint, once Davis comes back, you kicking Tevin back over?
I was wondering if you were gonna set that up and give me an opportunity to disagree with Danny for once.
Yeah,
right?
I figured you would.
listen, I'm selfish about it, right? Because listen, I like power football. I like lining up and running people over, pointing to the holes and say, listen, you can't stop me. And I'm just infatuated with that. I just like the idea we can line up against any team and have Tevin Jenkins next to Darnell Wright and play bully ball. I know, hey, Danny, I'm old enough to remember in football when we had the strong side and the quick side on offensive line. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little bit of nostalgia coming back, where that's how you used to formulate your offensive line. You had the power side and you had the quick side back in the day. And that's what I'm dreaming up days of old with that one right there. But yeah, I like to keep them together over there and let the other guys fight it out for the other side. So at least we know what we have.
The only reason I'm putting Nate Davis back is because he's been a right guard his entire career. And that formula was still working with Davis and Wright at the right side. And then you had Jenkins at the left guard, giving you some more, added, I think that overall makes your offensive line a little stronger. That's why. But because Davis was giving you the same kind of power in terms of run blocking on that right side combined with Darnell Wright.
Let's talk about one of the bright spots from the receiving game. That would have been Cole Kmet. He seemed to be the safety blanket for Bayesian today. He caught 5 of 6 targets for 49 yards, also had 2 touchdowns. And I think looking at the updated stats, it said there was some discrepancy on some of the stats that I was looking at on the different sites, because this one says 6 for 55 and 2. So we'll have to figure out what his actual stat line was at the end of the game. But regardless, that's not the point. He seemed to. The first touchdown catch was incredible. He was able to, bully his way to the spot where the ball was going to be, and he came down with it. Guys, regardless of who's playing quarterback, whether it's Fields on Thursday or they got to wait another week before he's back, is Cole Kmet finally, I don't want to say finally, but is he really putting himself as a priority on this offense as far as, being that guy that can move the chains and also be a red zone target? Coach T, I'll start with you.
I think Cole Kmet gets a bad rap, right? Because the guy's asked to do 3 things. He's asked to be a de facto offensive lineman, a blocker, and a pass catcher, right? And I like the stat line for what he has a day, right? I think that should be like a typical stat line for Cole. He should get, you know what I'm saying, 5 to 6, 5 to 8 catches per se, put up about 50 to 75 yards, and have be effective in both the running and pass game. And here's the thing about that. Let's connect this to what I said earlier. If you're going to go heavy 12, 13, 21, 22 personnel, the reason why you're doing that is to have your tight ends participate in your blocking scheme, and then they can delay off and catch some passes off of that. So, you know what I'm saying? It's not going to be, wide receivers type numbers most of the day, right? But I think that's a nice balance to have you and how you have them become or be effective in the ball game.
And Danny, you've been saying for years that don't expect Cole Kmet to be a Travis Kelce, but he can be one of those possession guys. And I'm thinking of like maybe a Jason Witten or something of that nature. What do you think?
Yeah, my comp coming out of Notre Dame from was Kyle Rudolph, and that's who he's turning into. He's a guy that can give you, between that 40 and 60 yards a game, give you 1 or 2 touchdowns. Be a guy to be an inline wide tight end. A guy can block and also can chip and help out. But yeah, that's what he's developing, and the rapport he's developed with his quarterback, whether it's Justin or Tyson Bagent, it's good to see. You've obviously got the big contract, so he's going to be part of this core moving forward. But and I like the fact that he's being a nice outlet for like Bagent for today, for example, on these, his ability to kind of avoid the pressure, step up in the pocket as a sideline outlet pass, and he grabs a lateral pass and goes upfield for 10, 15 yards, gets a first down. So I like that ability because he's strong after the catch as well in terms of guy who can take on contact, can bull himself through arm tackles and get positive yards. So I think that's his game. Again, like I said, he came out, he looked like a Kyle Rudolph to me, and he's turning into a typical Kyle Rudolph type tight end for me now.
Let's pivot over to the wide receivers now, because Darnell Mooney led this team as far as wide receivers go with 5 catches, 82 yards, and DJ Moore 3 for 44. And also had a bad fumble. So what did you take away from this? They got the ball in Mooney's hands early and let him kind of run with it. They were trying to let him make some plays. DJ Moore, you'd hope to see maybe a few more targets on his end. Coach T, what do you take away from the wide receivers today?
Yeah, I like it. Better distribution. I think Danny tagged Aldo on X or Twitter, referencing the underneath route that they got Darnell Mooney off of, like coming off the jet motions, right? Freeing him up off the jet motions, out of motion, getting him in the flat, right? On nice underneath routes, crossing routes, and things like that are easy ways to get him completion, right? And I thought that was something that we did well in the first half. That where it happened to it the second half, it vanished, right? We went to, every play counts. You go to calling screens. That could have been another crossing underneath route where you get those guys the ball. So I think, we're starting to find some things underneath route. I would just like to see us get and work the seams a lot more, right? Just outside the hash marks, because teams are going to cover 3 and cover 2 zone us to death, right? Because we love to play in the flats, right? Or it's like this kind of almost like bipolar thing, right? We want to play in the flats or we want to go deep. We have to start working into like the intermediate routes to allow these guys to work better underneath, right? And something just under 10 yards.
All right. It looks like we have Matt Eberflus at the podium for the post-game press conference. Let's toss it over to him.
On that, but we came back in the second half and they end up, 7-14, but we did a good job with that, adjusting, and the players did a good job of executing to give ourselves a chance to win in that situation there. Really the story of the day, right, is just the takeaways. You can't. It's hard to win. The league's pretty even, in most spots, and it's hard to win when you have -5. And again, that's a whole team thing, right? It's us protecting it, us protecting the quarterback, us getting on defense, and us doing a better job there, taking the ball away on D. So again, that's really where the story was. Again, I love the fight of the guys at the end there. Defense gave us a chance at the very end with those stops that we had and with the missed field goal that they had. But with that, open to questions.
Tyson Bagent's day, it looked like things were going very well for him through 3 quarters, and then a lot of problems at the end, turnovers, not a lot of completions. What happened to him in the 4th quarter?
Yeah, just I'm gonna have to look at it. And what I saw out there was they play man coverage, right? That's what they do. They're tight coverage there, and we were throwing it in the tight windows, and we got to do a good job with our decision making and accuracy, and that's where it is. And again, I'll look at the tape to see exactly what they were doing. But again, that's the first number one job of a quarterback is to protect the ball.
You feel like you guys were getting a lot of opportunities at the end to win? Like it was there to take?
Oh yeah. We made stops up. We made stops on downs on defense. We had time. We still had time. We still had time, and the guys were fighting and battling. And because of that, we made it a game at the end. And so I really believe that we had a chance at the end there.
What was the biggest difference with the defense in the second half? They gave a couple touchdowns in the first half, no touchdowns in the second half.
Yeah, it's just the third downs. Yeah, the reason they kept those drives, we were playing the run great. We were tackling good. We were doing all those things well. And, during that first half, the only thing that they had on the plus side was the third downs. Like I said, 5 of 6, and I believe 2 of them were in the red zone. So that's where we need to get corrected, and we made the adjustment, and they did a nice job.
Are you guys optimistic about Justin after seeing him throw Friday?
Yeah, he's day-to-day. We'll find out more tomorrow, and we'll see where it is because, he started throwing, which is a positive, and we'll see where it is in terms of his functionality.
Are you hoping that he could be back Thursday?
We'll see where it is. We'll see.
How was the week at large? How do you think you and the team handled that? There was a lot going on. You had trades. You had trade demand that didn't happen with Jalen. You had David Walker. And then you go on the road Saturday.
Yeah, I would say really good. Obviously, if we would have won the game, it would have been great. It's not great because we lost. But our guys hung together. They always do. They practice well. They came out ready to play today. And again, if we get the ball right, we would be right today. So that's where it is. But guys were physical. They finished every play, and they played our style, which is the style we want to play.
Tyreek Stevenson left with an injury. What's the latest on him?
Yeah, we'll see where he is. I know it was a lower leg injury. We'll see where he is tomorrow.
Key to the running game, doing well early in the game, especially the first half, and then there were any adjustments that they made because it didn't seem like there was many big holes as there were earlier.
Again, they shift the front a little bit here and there, to overload that one side that we were running to the whole time, and that's again, my hats off to them. They made the adjustment, and it wasn't as effective as it was, but again, I thought we did a really good job overall during the course of the day of running the football.
They don't talk much about David's ability to run with the ball, but it seemed like he really took advantage of things out there. I could get 70-yard rushes.
Yeah, he's had some really nice plays. It wasn't just the QB scrambles. There was a disconnect from the runner a couple times. Where he kept the ball on those, and that was cool to see him on the edge there. And it was also the keepers. He had some waggles and boots where he got on the edge and had a chance to either run pass option, and he did a good job with that.
Plan for Sweat today going in?
Yeah, just play him on the third downs, play him in the 2 minute, and again, my hats off to the defense. Really did a really nice job at the end of half, 2 minute during that situation. They still had some time, they still had some timeouts, and our guys did a really good job with that. But for the most part, play him third down, 2 minute, and we're going to roll him in first or second down. So it was a good plan.
How do you look, dude?
Look good. I thought he had a couple good pressures there. He's getting his feet wet. Different style of defense. A little bit different terminology. So for him to come in here and play that many plays, it was cool.
What was the significance for you guys to get that deal done yesterday? To get it done, not exactly right away, but before you'd even played a game, now it's finished.
Yeah, it's extremely important. Ryan and his staff did an awesome job working through that and getting that done in a timely fashion, and we're all excited. When you add a pass rusher, to your defense and to our franchise, that's a big deal for us going into the future.
You and Ryan both talked this week about how you felt you were closer than people thought. In what ways are you, and what ways aren't you after a game like this today?
Well, this would be evidence that we are very close, because, being -5, in the turnover margin and keeping it that close, the ability for us to show our style. Our style is to run the football, stop the run, be physical, and we just got to get the ball right.
What do you make of Tyson's experience here now? If Justin's back next week, this is it for Tyson for now. 3 starts, some ups and downs. How do you think he did filling in?
Yeah, in terms of his operation, okay, and knowing, the offense and operating the huddle, in and out of the huddle, for a guy to come in there, as a rookie like that, was pretty impressive when you think about it, and I think he's had really good moments in that the starts that he's had. And again, he's going to build off of that. He's got to learn. The most important thing Tyson can do now, because the performance is over, is to learn from his performance and to get better, and to partner up with the coaches, with the offensive coordinator, with myself, and look at those plays where he needs to improve, and also look at the good plays. There's a lot of good plays out there that he had, in the first half, third quarter today. And he's got to build off of both those things.
You guys, I think they were on your half of the field for every play of the fourth quarter. Have you ever seen that before, number one? And number two, the game seemed to kind of grind to a halt there at the end with both defenses playing pretty well. Did you think you had a chance at the end to break through there?
Yeah, we always do think we have a chance. We just needed one takeaway on defense to give ourselves a short field and put ourselves in scoring position, or a kick or a punt return or a kick return, or whatever that might be, to really flip the field. Because of the turnovers, they were playing on the midfield most of the day. And that happens sometimes. And that's called sudden change. And our defense did a great job of rising up to the occasion on most of those occasions during the course of the day, getting a 3-and-out, making them punt, stopping them on downs and doing that. This gives our team a chance.
What do you make of the offensive line penalties today? I think everybody but Tevin had either a false start or a hold.
Yeah, you go back and look at those. Obviously the false starts are the false starts. We got to clean those up. But the holdings, you got to look at them. Sometimes that happens when you extend plays on the perimeter, when you're extending plays as a quarterback. That happens sometimes. But again, I'll go look at them. I'll look and evaluate all those penalties and see what we think.
Can you get an explanation on the Bayless flag? The face mask.
That was the face mask. He grabbed it. It was
When you have penalties, kind of a real inopportune time like that, is that a learning lesson, or should you guys be past learning?
You just can't do that. We're pro football players and coaches. We know that you can't grab the face mask. We got to be better than that.
On the Tyson Bagent scramble in the first half, that they marked it short and then you challenged and then won the challenge. I kind of talk about the operation, like how you decide to do that.
Yeah, so upstairs, Harry's upstairs, and we're always looking at it. And I thought that it was spotted short to begin with. So we looked at it on replay, and then we had enough time, and again, it was early, so we just threw it, and we had a good look at it, and it was overturned. It was good by the league.
All right, I think we've seen enough out of Matt Eberflus's press conference. Before I throw it over to you guys, my quick takeaways are: one, I can never tell. Like, if you didn't watch the game, you couldn't tell whether or not the Bears won or lost by listening to his press conference, because of all the great things the Bears have done, and he's talking about everything great that they did during the game and during the week. If you didn't watch the game and just had to guess off the press conference, you'd think they won every game. And two, it's pretty interesting how you have to go back and look at the holding calls and see what it was and check out. You have to go look and see what happened there. And then when they ask him about Velus Jones' face, he's like, "Yeah, that was a penalty. You can't do that. We're professional football players." I think he kind of got his opinion on Velus Jones at that point, where he didn't even go back to his we have to go look at the tape. He's like, "No, you can't do that. We're professional football players. You can't grab the face mask." So that kind of gives you a heads up.
At this point, guys, I don't know why Velus Jones is even active. I mean, why is he even on a roster in the first place? Why is he even? He brings nothing in value in terms of kickoff, but he's like can't punt return. He can't a receiver. He still can't learn how to run routes, right? He's hurting on special teams. Why is he even active right now? I mean, maybe because you need a body out there. Maybe that's the only reason why. Maybe if you get St. Brown back, you can maybe make him inactive, and we can stop the torture of seeing Velus Jones out there, because he's a third-round pick of Mr. Ryan Poles. But if we can, guys, I don't know if we want to add anything on to what Eberflus said there. I mean, like I said, he was putting me to sleep there with his talk. But that receiver conversation, I want to go back to. And I'm not trying to start a debate, right? I just want to point out there when I said when the DJ Moore trade was made, and I said DJ Moore is a good receiver. He'll be number one on this Bears team, but he's not an elite receiver, right? What was DJ Moore today? For 3 receptions, 44 yards, I believe was his stat numbers were. That costly fumble he had, that drop touchdown, that would have been a hard catch to make, but still he had both hands on it. This is what I meant by talking about elite receivers, right? Marshawn Lattimore, who's a pretty damn good corner, was on him. I saw Taylor, the second-year player, on him as well, and he was not to be seen. Okay, and in terms of Bagent was going through his progression, but that tells me, and he was going to Darnell Mooney a lot more there. I've talked about some of the tight ends there getting in action there, and DJ Moore wasn't getting open, guys. So why is this is what I just want to say. This is what I was trying to say when I said DJ Moore is a good receiver, but let's stop throwing the word elite out there. He's not elite. When you say elite receivers, you don't think DJ Moore. I don't think DJ Moore is an elite receiver when they traded for him. I don't think DJ Moore is proven to be an elite receiver right now either. I think he's a good player, a good receiver. He's not elite. And if you guys are trying, still think DJ Moore is an elite receiver, show me where was he today? Where was he?
Well, he's not getting any help from his offensive play caller or his quarterback play, but the point is taken as far as getting him more involved. Coach, what did you think? Well, twofold question. One, if you have anything else to throw in on the wide receiver conversation, and what did you think about Matt Eberflus's conversation or his soliloquy at the podium?
Yeah, I was going to see if you give me a chance to rebut a little bit. Elite, he has to prove elite, right? As Danny's saying, he has to prove elite. But guys, I like to get into the schematics and the whys, right? So against LA, they like to run a lot of cover 6, cover 8, and they'll go over the top to his side and man up, or go quarters on the backside. So they're keeping the guy over the top and underneath, and allowing those underneath corners to play a lot more physical with DJ. But to Danny's point, if they're going to do that, two things have to happen. If they're going to do that, if they're going to roll a safety over the top of you in a cover 6, cover 8, and allow the physical corners to play under you, more physical underneath, you got to have opportunities where you beat that. You just got to. The greats do it, right? The greats do it. They beat it. The other thing is you have to have your offensive coordinator that can know how to scheme you open to beat that. And one of the ways you do that, if you know they're going to be doubling your quote unquote star receiver, is you have to do what we did with Darnell Mooney a little bit more and play behind the line of scrimmage. Think about how Miami uses Tyreek Hill. A lot of his motions and a lot of the backfield motions to get him open is they're playing 3-card Monty with Tyreek Hill, and they're motioning him behind the line of scrimmage so you can't get a jam or a beat on them, and nobody's going to cover you. They're not going to occupy safety on the way back in when you have a guy in the backfield playing around with his motions like that. So you gotta get more creative, man.
That's one thing. That's fine if you want to talk about the offensive play call, not getting him in position to succeed.
Right,
and
right. But straight up, I know where you're going with that. Yeah, I know where you're going with it.
Right. But in terms of just being, because you saw Python go through his progression multiple times and just go for the 4th or 5th guy. And my only thing is DJ Moore is a good receiver. I'm not saying he sucks. He's got no talent. I'm not saying he's a bad player. I'm saying we just throw the word around elite here way too quickly. Yeah. Let's just stop with the elite stuff. Because the coverage stuff you're talking about, that the cover 8, the cover 6s, the other thing to take away these elite receivers. Yeah. They play them against Stephon Diggs. They play them against Justin Jefferson. They play them against Jamar Chase. They play them against A.J. Brown. But week in and week out, those guys are able to impact the game. Not necessarily saying they have the 10 receptions, 200 yards, but to have, impact plays, whether it was a touchdown here or a big first down here. DJ Moore the last couple of weeks has been missing. And last week, we'll say the Bears just overwhelmed by the defense of the Chargers, right? It was just a bad game. But like today, it's a one-score game. This is where you want your big guys, your big-time players to step up, and he was nowhere to be found. So you want to blame it on Tyson Bagent? You want to blame it on Justin Fields? You guys can. I'm just saying he is just not, to me, an elite player.
John talked about not good. John talked about bringing a water balloon to a cannon fight, right? That's how I think about, Getsy going up against some of these elite defensive coordinators. Danny, I'm there with you. I know exactly where you're going with that, right? You want your dogs in those moments to be able to overcome whatever a defense is throwing at you in terms of double teams and all that other. But the narrative persists that it's hard to diagnose any of our skill position players without an elite play caller. He's getting out coached by everybody on the other side of the ball. And the other part is we had 2 key stops on defense in the second half, right? One on the 4th and 1 that wasn't converted, then another stop where you have 2 opportunities to tie the game, and we're able to manufacture nothing. And those turn out to be turnovers and interceptions, man. That kind of stuff just drives me nuts, right? We have a style of play that style of play. The fastest path for Luke to get out of Chicago and get an opportunity as a head coach is to play 12 person. If that's what you want, Luke, we're giving you the formula, buddy. That's your fastest path out of here.
But the one thing is media wise, right? When Justin was playing, they would run all these clips and slow mo and say, "Look, DJ Moore's wide open here. Justin throw the ball to him." But yet, when Tyson Page is playing, it's saying, "Oh, our the DBs were covered. There was nowhere to throw the ball to him. He was covered." So it's like we got to play even here both ways. Again, DJ Moore's a good player. I'm not going to knock the guy. The guy's a heck of an athlete, good player. I'm just saying when the trade was made, everyone threw the word elite around. I'm careful in throwing that word around, elite, because that tells me top best of the best in the NFL, and right, he's not in that category for me.
What did you guys think of Eberflus's comments about whether or not Justin Fields is playing? Seemed kind of evasive about it. Do you just honestly think that he's day-to-day at this point, or are they trying to keep the Bears sometimes, no matter who's in charge, like to pretend like they're covering the codes to the nuclear codes. They don't want to talk about anything. We can't talk about that because we'd give away a competitive advantage because everyone's just dying to get a competitive advantage against a 2-7 team. But what do you guys think about Justin Fields' status, and did Eberflus's comments move the needle at all for you guys? Coach T, I'll start with you.
Hey, Danny, big cap. Big cap. Listen, ain't no way they don't know who's playing on Thursday. It's no way with all the noise that's been going on about quarterback competition, blah, 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 this, that, and the other, that I don't think Justin goes out there and gives it a go if he feels in the 90th percentile. And there's no way Pablo, the retired Marine, his daddy, lets him sit this one out, with all the noise that's going on with his fan base. The kid's going to be out there. They just playing it close to the chest, like Danny's saying, They're trying to be G14 classified on us and looking like one of the comedy espionage series we used to see on TV back in the day, right?
For me, John, for me, if I'm Justin, I set out this week, right? But this coaching staff, they wouldn't tell us if Justin was playing if there was a game on Sunday, much less a game on Thursday. So they're gonna keep the top secret, right? But for me, if I'm Justin, I'm sitting another week out just to make sure. But I know how Justin is, right? I know how he's a competitor. He's a guy who wants to be in there. He's itching to get back in there. And if he can play, he's gonna go in there and play. Now, for some might say this might be a best opportunity to get Justin back in there. Tyson's coming off a bad game. And it'd be easier kind of transition, get Justin back in there, anything, positive momentum, all that stuff. So again, for me, I think if I was Justin, I'd sit out. But I know Justin how he is, and if he's good, he's going to play.
And you're going up against on Thursday a team that many will think is actually worse than the Bears if you look at the records. But that's a game that the Bears. They want to win every game, but there's actually something at stake, unlike all of the other games, because if you beat Carolina, you keep them high up on the draft pick. But then again, it's not like the Bears are far behind them either way, so it could be a catch-22 there. But I think that if Fields is going to push to play because he wanted to go back into the game where he actually dislocated his thumb anyway. At that point, he wanted to go back into that game. So I'm sure that he's pushing to get back into the game, and maybe Carolina is the game at home to do that. Going into it, Coach T, do you think that this is before the season? This is one of the games where you circled and said, okay, that should be a win. Are we still looking at it that way?
Yeah, I think they should bring Home Depot and Lowe's in to sponsor this game and call it the toilet bowl. You know what I'm saying? That's my advice for this game, right? Because it should be garbage all around. Now, listen, go out there, roll Tyson Bagent out there, and go out there and try to win the game, and let the cards land where they may. You know what I'm saying? Braxton Jones needs to get more reps anyway, coming off of his injury. So that would be a net positive right there. Let's see where we are with Nate Davis when he comes back, right? What is a true lineup? Let's get this offensive line some reps. Braxton Jones, let's see where Nate Davis is. Let's get the offensive line sorted. Let's give Luke needs, listen, because we have to be real about this thing. The way Ryan Poles came out and he was, you know what I'm saying, glizzy guzzling Matt Eberflus on the other day during his presser. We have to be realistic about the whole idea that, you know what I'm saying, Luke Getsy might get another opportunity. So Luke needs all the live reps that he can get, and hopefully by the end of the season, he's calling complete games. If you know what I'm saying, because Matt is a little bit married to him. He said, "This is the system I wanted because it was so hard to defend when I had to go up against it." So Luke needs all the reps he can get. You know what I'm saying? Let Tyson go out there and get some more playing time and get this offensive line sorted before you bring back Justin Fields.
Danny, is this a game they could, should, won't, will, maybe win? It's hard to even forecast this stuff.
Who knows, man? Are you going to the game tonight? Because if you go to the game, I'll say they'll win. But if you're not going to the game,
Thursday
then
night, I don't know. I've already gone to one Thursday
night. Our whole we're hedging our bets all over whether Chuck goes to the game or not.
Yeah, because he's 2-0.
I'm in like the top 1 percentile of Bears fans that have gone to both games that they've won. I've been in attendance for both of those.
But that means we definitely lose in Detroit because I'll be in the building.
Well, I mean, it does have something to do with the players on the field, but we like to think that we have a little more impact than we do sometimes.
Right.
Fellas, we've basically covered everything that we can cover about this game and the game coming up. Let's go around the horn as we kind of close things out here. Coach, what's your final takeaway here and what we can look forward to in the coming week?
Man, I don't want to bore y'all with it, man, but it's Luke Getsy, man. Like the big question is, we know how Ryan Post feels about Matt Eberflus, and he'll probably stick around. How is Matt Eberflus feeling about Luke Getsy and his long-term status with the Bears organization? And can he continue to, I don't want to say continue to grow, but can he find the identity before the end of the season and stick to it, right? Like, that's my biggest question about the football team, my biggest frustration. I think the defense is ahead of our offense just by a tad bit. And the Montez Sweat acquisition doesn't hurt that a little bit. Excited to see the guy get out there and really make some plays for this defense and see how far they can grow in the coming weeks.
Danny, final takeaways, what we can look forward to.
Well, coach just made me throw up in my mouth there, and he said, "Luke, Eberflus is coming back for sure next year." That kind of, really made me sick to my stomach there. But anyway, we'll move past that real quick. I mean, for me, it was just typical stuff. I mean, this is a game where the Bears could have won, right? Winnable game. They're in it. The defense, to Eberflus's credit, defense kept them in there. 5 turnovers really hurt the Bears today. The 10 points off of turnovers was basically the margin in the game here. Tyson Bagent in that first half, I think the game plan was good for him. I think that we saw some of his athletic abilities, ability to use his legs. RPO stuff, rolling out, throwing the ball on the run. And in the second half, they just kind of a little bit abandoned that and just really towards the tail end of that second half, really abandoned the run game as well and put them in position to really, get clobbered back there and make all those turnovers. So, defensively, like I said, they played well. I like the way they rallied to the football. Sweat had a couple of pressures there where, typical Sweat pass rush, converting speed to power, bullying the offensive line back into the quarterback, making them uncomfortable, getting rid of the football real quickly there. So, that was, I think, coming off midweek, being traded here midweek, making a couple pressures there. I think that's a good start for him. And the guys that Jack Sanborn, this kid is just a football player. I tweeted it out a couple of times during the game. Instincts, his ability to key off of reads and just be there. He doesn't have all the athletic ability, all the numbers and stuff that these guys test for, but that guy's a football player. And I just want to see Sanborn out there, more and more snaps week in and week out, whether, Edmonds is back in the lineup or not. I think Jack Sanborn has earned some more snaps on defense. So those are my positives for the game today. And we'll see what happens next week.
My final takeaway, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I said earlier this week that I'm not an analyst. I'm not the X and O guy that you guys are. But what I do know is the team is bad and it ticks me off. And for me, I just want some real accountability as it pertains to winning football games. I'm tired about hearing about how great everything is throughout the week, how awesome everyone looked, how good everyone is, how dedicated and impressive everyone is. I mean, this is the Chicago Bears, a charter franchise that's been around for over 100 years, and we would like as fans to think that there's serious expectations every year. We know there's not serious expectations every year, but we would like to feel that with some of these this franchise that we emotionally and sometimes financially invest in, it just doesn't love us as much as we love it sometimes, most of the times, I should say. So I don't know. There's something needs to be injected into the organization to make people uncomfortable. It just seems like people are too comfortable. They're okay operating the way that things are operating now. You're not operating with an edge. You're just like, this is good. This is $1 billion industry. Let's just keep hanging out. This is a good time. I just need someone to shake up the organization and take it in a different direction because it has not been working. I've never seen a Super Bowl. I wasn't alive in 1985. I didn't get to do the Super Bowl shuffle. I got to see one Super Bowl appearance in 2006, and that was it. I need something else. And I'm tired of talking about the rebuild and whose fault this is. Every argument about the Bears on Twitter is about whose fault this is. And I'd like to have more positive conversations about who is leading this team and who do we give all the credit for all their success. But we can't do that. That's not what we do when we're Bears fans. We have to argue about who's screwing the Bears up the most. I'm just tired of doing that. I'm tired of having that same conversation every week of every year of basically my entire life. So I need somebody to shake something up in Chicago. That being said, we got a lot of good programming here coming up on the Bar Room this week. There's some different schedules because they do have a Thursday night game. Don't forget, Greg Gabriel will be on tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central. Buffon 55, my show, will be on tomorrow rather than Wednesday at 7:30 Central Time. Danny will be there with us. And also, Coach T, what's your schedule look like this year on your channel? Or this week on your channel?
60, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 3 Central, and Sundays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 Central Standard Time. So check us out. We're going to break down. We're actually going through each plays in Coach T's playbook and breaking it down, calling out coverages and all that cool stuff. So if you want to learn something, tap in.
All that good analytic stuff that he brought today, you can see that on his channel. But that'll do it for this edition of Bear Football. For Danny Shimon and Coach T, I'm John Buffon. We'll see you next time.